Hello, friends. It's time to talk about the elephant in the room. If you have had a baby and you are planning to potty train your child, you are probably making this huge mistake. In fact, 99% of you are making this huge mistake. But before I get into what that is, allow me to introduce myself. If you are new here, my name is Heather Medlin. I'm an architect, entrepreneur, and mother of two under three. I have a 14-month-old daughter and a 3-year-old son. And this is my channel where I talk about natural health and sustainable living. And I also teach about elimination communication, which is naturally potty training your baby from birth here on this channel, as well as over on my Instagram at readyfrombirth.ec. So if you like this content and you want to see more daily encouragement, inspiration, and information about elimination communication, then make sure to go follow me over there on Instagram. I'll link that down below. It's readyfrombirth.ec. And I also want to let you know that I am opening my brand new community, the EC Mama Network, and we are going to be sharing bi-weekly live calls with each other. We'll be sharing encouragement, collective wisdom, and just helping each other get through the unique challenges and joys that are a journey with your child practicing elimination communication. It is a community that I wish I had when I first started potty training my baby at 5 weeks old. I'm still to this day the only mama I know who is doing this in real life in person. So this is the community that is going to be the supportive, loving network of mamas like-minded, just like you, doing this with their babies. So if you want to learn more about that, make sure to go check out the link down below. So what is this thing that most of you are doing wrong when potty training your babies? I have already hinted at it about 4 times. You are not starting soon enough. Most people, in fact, about 99% of parents in the US are waiting to start potty training their babies until they are 2, 3 years old. They are waiting until they are, quote, ready, which is a arbitrary definition defined by the Pampers Company, essentially, and various pediatricians that the Pampers Company and other diaper companies have hired to inform you of these, quote, facts of when your child is ready. So how do we know when our child is ready? Well, they can identify the feeling in their body that they need to pee or poop, or that they are peeing or pooping. They can let you know that they need to go, and they can get themselves to the potty. Here's the deal. Your baby is born ready. They are born ready to recognize the urge to need to go inside their body. It is an instinct that they are born with. It is a survival mechanism, essentially, that will protect them, keep them clean, keep them hygienic. It is natural for your baby to let you as the parent know that they need to pee or poop, because this is going to keep the home clean, the bed clean. It's going to keep your baby and you clean. It is not natural for any animal on this planet, any mammal, to soil themselves. It just isn't. And we're actually still the only mammal on the planet that I know of that teaches our young to shit on themselves. Pardon my French. So if you think that it is normal for your baby to wear a diaper, use it as a toilet as a default, and not start taking that away and doing their business where you want it to go until they are 2 or 3 years old, I really hate to say it, but you have been vastly misled. 99% of us, myself included, as a first-time mom, have been misled by marketing, effectively. And there's an incredibly powerful marketing scheme going on that has been going on since the 1960s that tells you and encourages you to wait until your child is ready. Don't push it. Don't start too early. Why? Because they warn you that it will take longer if you start too soon, that you should not pressure your child to start earlier than they would naturally be ready, because it will take longer. My friends, what do you think you are going to be doing with your baby's business until they are 2 or 3 years old? Do you want to be cleaning shit out of a diaper of a 3-year-old? I don't. I've done it with a 2-year-old, and it is not fun. It is not a cute little yellow, hardly smells baby poop. It is not. It is a full-sized, toddler poop. You don't want that. You just don't. So if you are already following me and you are maybe following my Instagram and you are on board with the idea of elimination communication, which is the practice of listening to and responding, listening for and responding to your baby's signals that they need to pee or poop, then you already know, you're already here and you're already excited about it. But so many of you are delaying, are hesitating for one reason or another. And here's the deal. Even if you have a baby and you want to start EC, but you haven't started yet, you're not starting soon enough. It is never going to be easier to start than within the first 8 weeks of life. And here's why. And I talk about this in my free guide to natural infant potty training, which you can download at the link below. I'll leave it in the comments. But the reason that it is never going to be easier than to start at the very beginning in the first weeks of life is because your baby is they still have not reached the point where they can feel their bodies and recognize what's them, what's outside of them, what's you, what's not them, what's not you. And they still kind of think that they are a part of you because they were when they were in the womb. And so during this window of time, you can normalize absolutely anything. It is your role as a caregiver, and I've talked about this before, it is your role to teach your baby how and where you want them to relieve themselves. If you teach them, I want you to relieve yourself in a diaper, guess what? That's what you're normalizing for them. That is going to become their normal, their expectation. And if you continuously reinforce that that's what you want them to do, then by the time they do become aware of their bodies and of the sensations happening in their bodies, then if you're teaching them to ignore their primal instinct, to do their business in a clean and hygienic way, away from their selves, their bedding, and their caregivers, if you're teaching them to ignore that instinct, then as they get older, they will have normalized, oh, my mom wants me to poop in a diaper. And when you later want to start, quote, potty training them, as conventionally is expected when they're 2 or 3 years old, you're then going to have to untrain them from using a diaper. And you're now going to be doing this at the height of the toddler power struggle, where your child wants nothing more than to have control over their body, control over their space, their time, their actions. They're not going to want to get up and go over to the potty just because they have to pee. They're busy building a tower of blocks. They're busy building a train set. They have no time for this. My friend, mama, it is going to be so much easier if you start at birth, if you start right away. And you may be hesitating because you feel like, I don't have time to start this. I have an older child. I have a toddler. The newborn days are so overwhelming. I'm not getting enough sleep. I understand. I've been there. I've done it the conventional way with my son, with my first child, and I've also done it this way with my daughter. We started at 5 weeks old. We actually started potty training our children, both of our children, on the same day. My son was 25 months old. He just turned 2. We just had a baby. Complete upheaval in his world. His baby sister had arrived. Mom and dad were no longer his solely focused on him. There was another human in the mix. He was 2. He was really feeling into his willpower and himself. And we started potty training them both on the same day because he had outgrown the pull-ups, you guys. Like, they were not containing the business anymore. And we were cleaning poop out of pajamas, sheets, pants, daily. It was not good. It was not good. And we thought, there has to be a better way. It has to be a better way than this. And I had heard about EC, I had heard about elimination communication. And so we thought, let's try it. Let's see what happens. And we set our daughter on the potty that same day. I had 2 weeks left of maternity leave. I had to go back to work. I'm a working mama. I'm an architect. I had to go back to work in 2 weeks. And my partner, Clay, he had to go back the following week. So we had 1 week left when it was just the 2 of us at home. And we said, let's go for it. Let's see what happens. Let's see what we can do in this 1 week of time. And we sat her on the potty and she peed right away. And she smiled. Like, my 5-week-old daughter, like, she just had this obvious, like, sense of relief and, like, ease. And she was just so satisfied. And you could tell she was like, oh, I did that. And that felt really good. That's what I've been wanting you to do for me this whole time. And I thought back to when my son was the same age, when he was little, and I just remember there were so many times when he was just crying and crying and crying as a newborn, and we couldn't figure out what the problem was. And we thought, maybe he's hungry, maybe he's tired. We were first-time parents. We didn't know. We were still figuring out what the heck to do with this little tiny human that has landed in our life. And we didn't know. We thought maybe it's colic, maybe he's gassy. We're doing like the bicycle legs and like just burping him forever, and he's just crying and crying and crying. And what we didn't realize, and what I want you to realize, is that your baby comes with the instinct to not to soil themselves, not to soil their bedding, not to soil you. So if you're holding your baby and they're crying, it's because their natural wiring is telling them, this is not right. I need to poop. I need to pee, but I'm wearing clothes. I'm wearing a diaper. I'm on my mom. What am I supposed to do? They're literally panicking. And when we can know what's going on and we can recognize what's going on, we can take their diaper off, put them on a potty, or hold them over a lap potty. If you don't know how to do that, make sure to check out last week's video. I'll link it right here. That shows you exactly how to start EC with a newborn. When we can do that for them, they can follow their natural instincts. They can be taught, this is what I want you to do. This is the right way to do it. They come out expecting you to take their diaper off and potty them the way that nature intended. And when we ignore that, when we don't do that, which is conventional in the US and most westernized cultures that have access to disposable diapers, when we don't do that, we are teaching them to ignore their body, to ignore their natural instincts, to use a diaper. It's going to be extremely hard to untrain them later when you eventually get to that point if you are not doing this now. And we're just teaching them that their voice will not be heard, that it's not important, that their ask is not worth responding to. So I urge you to consider, if you have a baby and have had a baby this year, if you're past the 0 to 8 week window, that's okay. Start now. It is not too late to start. I have so many resources that can help you begin. Whether you're at 5 weeks or 5 months or 12 months, it is possible to get started. But the sooner you get started, the easier it will be. Once your baby is mobile and they have learned what it feels like to use a diaper versus to go in a potty the way that their body is made to do, it's going to be harder to then retrain them to use a potty later. So normalize for them what you want them to do in the beginning before they start to feel into their body and to recognize what it feels like to pee and poop in a diaper or outside of a diaper. They have not yet gone through the developmental leap 2. If you don't know what I'm talking about, leaps, go read The Wonder Weeks. It's by a Dutch duo. I forget their names because they are Dutch, but and I'm sorry if you're watching and you're Dutch and I can't speak that language, but go read that book. It's called The Wonder Weeks, and it talks all about the 10 developmental leaps that your child will go through in the first 2 years of life. And the second one happens around the end of week 8. And that is when they start to recognize their body as an entity and what's happening to it and on it and in it. And so if you can introduce the potty before that happens, it's going to be normal for them. That's going to feel like natural, obvious, normal. And so when we start later, when we wait, we are making it so much harder on ourselves to have to untrain them from a diaper, to have to introduce sitting on this thing that they were never exposed to before once they're mobile. And the more mobile they get, I promise you, they're going to be way too busy for the potty, and it is going to be so much harder to get them to just sit there and long enough for them to go. So does it take more time to sit there with your baby instead of slapping a diaper on them and sending them on your way? It does. Of course it does. But if you're breastfeeding your baby and maybe you're co-sleeping with your baby, or you're wearing your baby, or you're doing any of these other things that you value as a parent because you want the best for your child, you want to do what's natural and what your baby is programmed to do, they want to be on you. They want to be held. They don't want to be disconnected from you as the mother. They also are going to let you know when they're hungry. They're going to let you know when they're tired. And they're going to let you know when they need to pee and poop. And this is like a lost piece of communication that modern societies have somehow just forgotten about because of the incredibly effective marketing schemes of the diaper companies in the 60s and 70s when disposable diapers were still new. Because of this, we have kind of collectively forgotten how to tune into our babies' cries and asks for assistance in this area. But mama, just remember, your baby comes with the intuition, that your baby comes with the instinct to do this, and you come with the intuition to do this. So we can collectively remember as a society how to tune into that part of ourselves, connect with our baby, and begin potty training from birth. It's totally possible, and I would love to teach you how. So if you enjoyed this video and you learned something today, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and be sure to go follow over at readyfrombirth.ec for more daily elimination communication content. I am filming this video in one take and I'm not going to edit that out. So yes, that is real life over here. All right. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you tuning in, and I will see you next week.